जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे रामा राम राम हरे हरे। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन, यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन, यमुना तीरावनचारी, यमुना तीरावनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जय जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद, जय जय गुरुदेव गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव। गोरा हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल। हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। Om Ajnantimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Pandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parjana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 The rest of the prayers you can sing along with me. Narayanam Namaskrityam
Naram Chaiva Narottam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye
Namaste
Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktirbhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Namah Pankajanathaya Namah Pankajamaline Namah Pankajanetraya Namaste Pankajangraye Namo Mahabagavaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratushe Namaha Namo Brahmanya Go Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagatithaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatharine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Om Mukam Karvati Vachalam Panghum Langhaite Girim Etkapad Mahamande Harinam Shri Paramanandam Pavitra Pavitra Sarvavasthan Kopeva Smare Pundarikaksham Sabhahyabhyantar Suchi Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu. Hare Krishna Prabhuji Mataji, thank you very much for joining today's Bhagavatam class.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji Dandvat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Mataji Dandvat Hare Krishna Nirvam Mataji Dandvat Pranam. Hare Krishna Prasad Javadi Prabhu Dandvat Pranam. Hare Krishna Shirisha Mataji Dandvat Pranam. Hare Krishna Deepa Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji Dandvat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu Dandvat Pranam Prabhu.
Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Soumya Mataji Dandvat Pranam. Hare Krishna Kinchan Priya Prabhu Dandvat Pranam. Hare Krishna Anandram Prabhuji Dandvat Pranam. Hare Krishna Ram Reddy Prabhu Dandvat Pranam. Hare Krishna Sanjay Prabhuji Dandvat Pranam.
Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji Dandvat Pranam.
Santosh Prabhu Dandvat Pranam. Thank you very much for joining today's class. Today we are going to discuss, read along together, chapter 19, Canto 3, the killing of demon Hiranyaksha. I was reading this chapter yesterday evening, and it was a fight scene. So you will all enjoy the Veera Rasa today between Lord Varahadev and Hiranyaksha. the previous chapters, 17 and 18. 17 is how Hiranyaksha conquered the three worlds and made terror in all the worlds. And people were really afraid. All the demigods and everybody were really terrorized by him. And 3.18 starts the war between Hiranyaksha and the Varahadev. And as you know, any war, starts with calling names with each other, and then so that the intensity of war increases. So you heard yesterday from Akinchan Priya Prabhu on how the war has started and it's become to peak. And today you will see the complete fighting scene. And I was reading it, and I'm pretty sure all the people, all the directors like Rajmouli and everybody got inspiration from this chapter, because it's very much detailedly described how they fought with each other, how Lord was fighting, and then Hiranyaksha was fighting back. Very nice. Lord was enjoying his Virya Rasa, as you know, right? Why he does it? Because he also enjoys Virya Rasa, just like other rasas, and he uses his devotees. In fact, Jaya and Vijaya as born as Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, and he's enjoying the fighting propensity with him, and that's what you will hear in this chapter. So, without further delay, let's start. I'll share the screen and we'll start reading together. Chapter 19, the killing of demon Hiranyaksha. So we'll read the translations for each of the and then purports also. I think that we can finish both. So let's start. Can one Prabhuji Mataji volunteer to read the translation and purport of this first verse? Yes, Deepa Mataji. So you can raise your hand so that we know who it is. So Deepa Mataji, I see her hand. So please go ahead, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Sri Maitreya said, after hearing the words of Brahma, the creator, which were free from all sinful purposes and as sweet as nectar, the Lord heartily laughed and accepted his prayer with a glance laden with love. Purport. The word Nirvyalika is very significant. The prayers of the demigods or devotees of the Lord are free from all sinful purposes, but the prayers of demons are always filled with sinful purposes. The demon Hiranyaksha became powerful by deriving a boon from Brahma, and after attaining that boon, he created a disturbance because of his sinful intentions. The prayers of Brahma and other demigods are not to be compared to the prayers of the demons. Their purpose is to please the Supreme Lord. Therefore, the Lord smiled and accepted the prayer to kill the demon. Demons who are never interested in praising the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because they have no information of Him, go to the demigods, and in Bhagavad Gita this is condemned. Persons who go to demigods and pray for advancement in sinful activities are considered to be bereft of all intelligence. Demons have lost all intelligence because they do not know what is actually their self-interest. Even if they have information of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they decline to approach him. It is not possible for them to get their desired boons from the Supreme Lord because their purposes are always sinful. It is said that the dacoits in Bengal used to worship that goddess Kali for fulfillment of their sinful desires to plunder others' property, but they never went to Vishnu temple because they might have been successful in praying to Vishnu. Prabhuji, can you scroll down?
Yeah.
Therefore, the prayers of the demigods or the devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are always untinged by sinful purposes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, the first sloka, in I think the previous chapter, Lord Brahma made his prayers, to kill Hiranyaksha because enough of his atrocities, and Brahma sincerely prayed to Lord Vishnu, please take care of this demon and kill him. And he heard the words of Brahma and he smiled and he said, I will take care of him. And in this, it says, well, there's one quality of demigods, whoever goes to them with prayers and penances, they will give a boon. That is their lakshana. So that is that, that the people, the demons take advantage of that, and then pray to them and get the boons, because they know that if they go to Lord Vishnu, the sinful intentions will not be fulfilled by Lord Vishnu. So Prabhupada also gives an example of dacoits and the other people worshipping Goddess Kali, and to get their dreams fulfilled, or like their wishes fulfilled. So first prayer, so Lord accepted the prayers of Brahma, and now the fighting starts. Verse 2, somebody can read this. Okay, I'll read it. Translation: the Lord, who had appeared from the nostril of Brahma, sprang and aimed his mace at the chin of his enemy, the Hiranyaksha demon, who was stalking fearlessly before him. So, Prabhuji Mataji, please pay rapt attention, because it's so nicely described, the fighting scene. Every detail of the fight is described. You will really, see how Vedavyasa has described it nicely, and told by different devotees, like Parikshit Maharaj, Shukadev Goswami, and then it's nicely written in this way. Okay. Text 3.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu, please.
Translation by His Divine Grace is Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Struck by the demon's mace, however, the Lord's mace slipped from his hand and looked splendid as it fell down willing. This was miraculous, for the mace was blazing wonderfully.
So in this verse, the demon hit Lord's mace, and Lord's mace slipped from his hand. How can it happen, right? He is Supreme Personality of Godhead. But you can see that he's enjoying the Virya sort of fighting spirit between him and his devotee. So he's acting, it's like a real fight scene here. So it's very interesting. Okay, next verse, please. Next verse.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji, please.
Can I read, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah. Hare Krishna. Even though the demon had an excellent opportunity to strike his unarmed foe without obstruction, he respected the law of single combat, thereby kindling the fury of the Supreme Lord.
So you can see, even in those days, in those days, specifically in those days, they were strictly following the rules of the war. The rules of the war is you cannot harm anybody who is unarmed. There is no arm in his hand. You cannot fight with him. Kids, women, they would never fight with them. So it's very interesting to see that, Hiranyaksha saw there is no weapon in Lord's hands. And even though the Hiranyaksha has excellent opportunity to fight, he didn't. And then they look at the other person and say, go pick up your weapon, or they throw the weapon at him and say, now fight. So you can see the rule strictly followed. Okay, Prasad Prabhu, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhupada. Okay, translation by Prabhupada ki jai. As the Lord mace fell to the ground, and a cry of alarm arose from the witnessing crowd of God and rishis, the personality of the Godhead acknowledged the demon's love of righteousness, okay, and therefore invoked his Sudarshana.
Sudarshana discuss. That's a Sudarshana Chakra.
Yeah, discuss. Yeah.
So you can see, right, the scene. Imagine the scene. Hiranyaksha one side, Lord on the other side. There is audience all across. Rishis and demons are watching. What will happen? What will happen? How is this fight happening? And the moment the mace of Lord fell down, everybody, what happened now? How is Lord going to fight back? They're like, a little bit worried. And the Lord smiled at, Lord acknowledged the demon's righteousness. He said, okay, fine. You're fighting in the right way. Then he took the moment to invoke his Sudarshana Chakra. Okay. Text 6. Anybody wants to read?
I will, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes. I think one Mataji. Yeah, Mataji, go ahead.
Translation. As the discussed Thus the discourse began to revolve in the Lord's hands, and the Lord contended at close quarters with the chief of his Vaikuntha attendants, who had been born as Hiranyaksha, a wild son of Diti. There issued from every direction strange expressions uttered by those who were witnessing from airplanes. They had no knowledge of the Lord's reality, and they cried, "May victory attend you! Pray, dispatch him, play no more with him." Hare Krishna.
You can see all the rishis and demons watching, right? They encourage their side, right? Like in a boxing fight. Come on, hit him. Go ahead, do it. So you can see the same discussion here also. So all the rishis and munis are asking Lord to don't spare him. Okay, come on, hit him. Like, just like, all the followers of hero encourage the hero, like that. You can see the same kind of description here. Text 7. Please go ahead. Somebody read it.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji, go ahead.
When the demon saw the personality of Godhead, who had eyes just like lotus petals, standing in position before him, armed with his Sudarshana discus, his senses were overpowered by indignation. He began to hiss like a serpent, and he bit his lip in great resentment.
Yeah, you can see even some small emotions in the war also being described here. So he was now angry that Lord has invoked his Darshan Chakra. Text 8.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu.
The demon who had fearful tusks started the personality of the Godhead.
Stared at the personality of Godhead.
Stared at the personality of Godhead. Okay, as though to burn him. Springing into the air, aimed his mace at the Lord, exclaiming at the same time, "You are slain."
Yeah, he just flew into the air and then he was crying, "Okay, now you're gone, man. I'm going to take care of you." Like that. Okay, text 9, please. Yes, Prabhuji, please.
O saintly Vidura, while his enemy looked on the Lord in his boar form, the enjoyer of all sacrificial offerings, playfully knocked down the mace with his left foot, even as it came upon him with the force of 10.
So you saw how demon flew in the air and aimed his mace, and the Lord hit the mace with his left foot, and even in a whiff, it's gone now. Okay, 10.
The Lord then said, "Take up your weapon and try again, eager as you are to conquer me." Challenged in these words, the demon aimed his mace at the Lord and once more loudly roared.
Now it's Lord's turn. Now the demon's mace fell down and the Lord said, "Okay, now pick it up, man. Come on. Come on, fight. So he took it and then he took the challenge and he roared. Text 11.
When the Lord saw the mace flying towards him, he stood firmly where he was and caught it with the same ease, okay, as Garuda, the king of gods, would seize a serpent.
Yes, he caught the mace very easily. Text 12.
His valor thus frustrated, the great demon felt humiliated and was put out of countenance. He was reluctant to take back the mace when it was offered by the personality of Godhead.
Yeah. So now the ego shot up of Hiranyaksha. Even the Lord said, "Pick it up your mace," he didn't. He was not ready to do that. He was very reluctant to do that because he's feeling offended. Text 13.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. He now took a trident which was as rapacious as a flaming fire and hurled it again against the Lord, the enjoyer of all sacrifices. even as one would use penance for a malevolent purpose against a holy Brahmana. Correct.
So now, you remember, right? In the movies, they'll just meditate and there's a new weapon comes. Like he meditated and got a trident now because he didn't want to pick up the mace. And then he threw the mace, he took the mace now. He took the trident now and tried to fight with Lord again. Text 14. Translation and purport. Somebody can read it.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji, please.
The context of the reference given herein regarding...
No, Mataji, first translation, please.
Oh, sorry. Purport, I'm reading purport, sorry.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Just a second. Hurled by the mighty demon, with all his strength, the flying trident shone brightly in the sky. The personality of... I didn't log in my iPad, Prabhuji. It is different. Godhead, however, yeah, I could say. Godhead, however, tore it to pieces with his discus Sudarshana, which had a sharp-edged rim, which even as Indra and off a wing of Garuda.
Cut off a wing of Garuda.
I'll log in iPad, Prabhuji. Sorry.
Okay, Mataji, no problem. Okay, can somebody else read the purport, please?
Hare Krishna, I will read.
Yes, Prabhuji.
The context of the reference given herein regarding Garuda and Indra is this. Once upon a time, Garuda, the carrier of the Lord, snatched away a nectar pot from the hands of the demigods in heaven in order to liberate his mother, Vinatha, from the clutches of his stepmother, Kadru, the mother of serpents. On learning of this, Indra, the king of heaven, hurled his thunderbolt against Garuda. With a view to respect the infallibility of the Indra's weapon, Garuda, though otherwise invincible, being the Lord's own mount, dropped one of his wings, which was shattered to pieces by the thunderbolt. The inhabitants of the higher planets are so sensible that even in the process of fighting, they observe the preliminary rules and regulations of gentleness. In this case, Garuda wanted to show respect for Indra, since he knew that Indra's weapon must destroy something he offered his wing.
Yeah. This is a story that happened long time back, as you see, and it's an example here that just like how Lord took his Sudarshan and then he just smashed the trident into pieces, just like how Garuda offered his wing for the thunderbolt of Indra because he stole the nectar pot at one point of time. Okay, let's go to the next one. Text 15. Please somebody read translation and purport both.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, may I can read?
Yes, Bhataji, please.
Translation. The demon was enraged when his trident was cut to pieces by the discus of the personality of Godhead. He therefore advanced toward the Lord and roaring aloud, struck his hard fist against the Lord's broad chest, which bore the mark of Srivatsa. Then he went outside. Purport. Srivatsa is a curl of white hair on the chest of the Lord, which is a special sign of his being the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In Vaikuntha Loka or in Goloka Vrindavana, the inhabitants are exactly of the same form as the personality of Godhead. But by this Srivatsa mark on the chest of the Lord, he is distinguished from all others.
Yes. Hare Krishna, Hare Bol. So now the demon is very, very unhappy because his trident was cut into pieces. And then now he started fist fighting, with his hands. So fortunate is Hiranyaksha that he could touch the Lord. So he went and punched the Lord in his chest, where Srivatsa Kaustubha is there. And there is a distinction here that is mentioned in Vishnu Loka, in Vaikuntha Loka. All the inhabitants look like Vishnu only with 4 hands. The only difference between Lord Vishnu and all other servants is Vishnu has a Srivatsa mark on his chest and other people don't have, where Lakshmi resides. Text 16, somebody can read the translation purport, please.
Yes, Prabhuji. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hit in this manner by the demon, O Vidura, the Lord who had appeared as the first boar did not feel the least quaking in any part of his body, any more than an elephant would when struck with a wreath of flowers. Purport. As previously explained, the demon was originally a servitor of the Lord in Vaikuntha, but somehow or other he fell as a demon. His fight with the Supreme Lord was meant for his liberation. The Lord enjoyed the striking on his transcendental body, just like a fully grown up father fighting with his child. Sometimes a father takes pleasure in having a mock fight with his small child. And similarly, the Lord felt Hiranyaksha striking on his body to be like flowers offered for worship. In other words, the Lord desired to fight in order to enjoy his transcendental bliss. Therefore, he enjoyed the attack. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mother. So, as you can see, right, a parent enjoys a mock fight with his kid, and then, if the kid comes and hits him with his small fist, he acts as if he falls down, and then the kid enjoys that, right? Similarly, the Lord is enjoying a mock fight with his devotee. And he's giving the opportunity for his devotee to fight with him, as well as he's enjoying fighting back with him. And it's all his leelas, right? And it is for his liberation. As you know, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, or Jaya and Vijaya, who were born because of the curse of Kumaras at the entrance of Vaikuntha. And they were given a choice, they were told, do you want to have 5 births of devotees and then come back, or 3 births of demons and come back? And they were very eager, saying, we cannot live without the Lord for a long time. So they chose the 3 lives, Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, Ravana Kumbhakarna, and Shishupala and Dantavaktara. And this is one of the lives they had as Hiranyaksha. He's the elder brother. So he's enjoying the fight with his devotee. Text 17. Somebody can read the translation purport, please. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Yes, Mataji, please.
The demon, however, employed many conjuring tricks against the personality of Godhead, who is the Lord of Yogamaya. At the sight of this, the people were filled with alarm and thought that the dissolution of the universe was near. Purport: the fighting enjoyment of the Supreme Lord with his devotees, who had been converted into a demon, appeared severe enough to bring about the dissolution of the universe. This is the greatness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even the wavering of his little finger appears to be a great and very dangerous movement in the eyes of the inhabitants of the universe. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So there are 3 kinds of fights so far we have seen. The first one started with weapons. Lords, both started with mace fighting. Both of them fell down and then they got destroyed. Then Sudarshana Chakra and Trident, that's all gone. And then fist fighting now. And once fist fighting started, Hiranyaksha hit the Lord with his fist and he disappeared. Now the magic trick kind of fighting is started now. And it's appearing as if that the whole 3 worlds are really trembling and with shiver, and so much of calamity is going to happen now. Everybody is afraid of what's going to happen now, because now the Maya Shakti is in power now. The demon is going to now hide and not appear and do a lot of magic tricks. So you'll see the 3rd kind of variety of the war. You might have seen all this in all the movies, in the older movies. It's exactly, I'm pretty sure they are taken from this in this chapter and really animated it. Text 18.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Fierce winds began to blow from all directions, spreading the darkness occasioned by the dust and hailstorm. Stones came in valleys from every corner, as if thrown by machine guns.
Look at Srila Prabhupada. He wrote machine guns here. Kshipanai. Oh, there is a word called Kshipanai here. So there is a mention of machine gun, which is like Shipani. Good, very interesting. I just observed it.
So Hollywood has taken from this verse.
Yes, 100%. Okay, go ahead, Prabhu, to text 19.
The luminaries in outer space disappeared due to the skies being outcast with masses of cloud, which were accompanied by the lightning and thunder. The sky rained pus, hair, blood, stool, urine, and bones.
Yeah. So this is all the Maya Shakti of Hiranyaksha, which he attained by the penances. So now he's making the whole sky filled with the clouds, and which are, throwing all this nasty stuff. Text 21. Sorry, text 20.
Yeah. O sinless Vidura, mountains discharged weapons of various kinds, and naked demonesses armed with trident appeared with their hair hanging loose.
So now he's getting his army, the Maya Shakti of, and bringing the army of Hiranyaksha as well to fight. Text 21, please.
Cruel and savage slogans were uttered by the host of ruffians, yakshas, and rakshasas, who all either marched on foot or rode on the horses, elephants, and chariots.
So one thing they observe is, during the war, they call at each other, they shout at each other, they curse each other, and that is to increase the fighting propensity. And the same thing happens. That's what you see in Telugu movies, old movies. They, in the beginning of the war, they'll start with big verses to scold the other person and take him down, and that increases the fighting propensity, in fact. So then they can fight more with that propensity. Text 22 and the purport translation. Somebody can please read.
Hare Krishna.
The Lord.
Yeah. Yes, Prabhuji, go ahead. Ram Reddy.
Translation. The Lord, the personal enjoyer of all sacrifices, now discharged his beloved Sudarshana, which was capable of dispersing the magical forces displayed by the demon. Purport. Even famous yogis and demons can sometimes enact very magical feats by their mystic power. But in the presence of the Sudarshana Chakra, when it is let loose by the Lord, all such magical jugglery is dispersed. The instance of the quarrel between Durvasa Muni and Maharaja Ambarisha is a practical example in this matter. Durvasa Muni wanted to display many magical wonders. But when the Sudarshana Chakra appeared, Durvasa himself was afraid and fled to various planets for his personal protection. The Lord is described here as Tripath, which means that he is the enjoyer of three kinds of sacrifices. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord confirms that he is the beneficiary and enjoyer of all sacrifices, penances, and austerity. The Lord is the enjoyer of three kinds of yajna. As further described in Bhagavad Gita, there are sacrifices of goods, sacrifices of meditation, and sacrifices of philosophical speculation. Those on the paths of Jnana Yoga, and Karma all have to come in the end to the Supreme Lord, because Vasudeva Sarvamiti. Vasudevaha Sarvamiti. The Supreme Lord is the ultimate enjoyer of everything. That is the perfection of all sacrifices. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. So you can see that the yogis and these people like demons who do penances, they get these mystical powers, magic powers, and those are all can be easily with his left finger. The Lord can really dispel all the magical powers. And what to talk about Sudarshan Chakra, and it will it's already let loose by the Lord, and that the whole magical jugglery is dispersed. One example is taken here about Durvasa Muni Ambarish Maharaj. If you remember, Ambarish Maharaj, because the Vadasi Ghadiyas are going over, and he took water, and Durvasa Muni got angry, and he invokes a huge demon, and Ambarish Maharaj prays to Lord, and then the Lord sends Sudarshan Chakra, and Durvasa Muni's Maya Shakti has no power in front of the Sudarshan Chakra, and he runs all three worlds for the protection from the Sudarshan Chakra, and even goes to the Lord and begs forgiveness and says, I cannot do anything. Once my devotees are hurt, Sudarshan Chakra will take care of them. So you have to go back and beg forgiveness from Ambarish Maharaj only. So Durvasa Muni comes back and asks forgiveness, and then praise Dandavad Pranam to Ambarish Maharaj, and then Sudarshan Chakra retreats. So and then the Lord is enjoyer of all three kind of sacrifices: sacrifices of the good, sacrifices of penances, and sacrifices of austerities. And You can see, you can know that shloka, Bhoktaram Yajnatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. That is the peace formula, right? Once you know that the entire universe, everything belongs to the Lord, there is no envy, there is no pride, there is no need of boundaries between people, and they live happily. So Prabhupada quotes that verse as peace formula for the world, as you remember, and everything belongs to the Lord. Somebody read please text 23 with the translation and purport, please.
Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. At that very moment, a shudder suddenly ran through the heart of Diti, the mother of Hiranyaksha. She recalled the words of her husband Kashyapa, and blood flowed from her breast. Purport. At Hiranyaksha's last moment, his mother Diti remembered that what her husband had said. Although her sons would be demons, they would have the advantage of being killed by the personality of Godhead himself. She remembered this incident by the grace of the Lord, and her breast flowed blood instead of milk. In many instances, we find that when a mother is moved by affection for her sons, milk flows from her breast. In the case of the demon's mother, the blood could not transform into milk, but it flowed down her breast as it was. Blood transforms into milk. To drink milk is auspicious, but to drink blood is inauspicious, although they are one and the same thing. This formula is applicable in case of cow's milk also. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So you can see the Hiranyaksha's last few moments are approaching, and Diti felt a shiver in her tummy, like uneasiness in the tummy, and bad omens like blood flowing to the breast happened because she kind of got a hint that something is going to happen to her sons, and she remembered Kashyap Muni telling that you're asking me something that is not to be asked, and this is not the right time. So demons will be born, and then she remembered all the description of what's going to happen, and she felt a little bit happy because at least they will be killed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead by himself, by his grace. So for a mother, when the son is born with out of affection, the blood transforms into milk and it flows, and then it is given as food. But in this case, there is no transformation because it's like out of fear, and you can see the last moments of Hiranyaksha is going to happen very soon, and is going to die very soon, and this is the sign that Diti has seen. Text 24, please, translation and purport. Can somebody read it? Yes, Praveen.
Translation purport. When the demon saw his magic force dispelled, he once again came into the presence of the personality of Godhead, Keshava, and full of rage, tried to embrace him within his arms and crush him. But to his great amazement, he found the Lord standing outside the circle of his arms. Purport. In this verse, Lord is addressed as Keshava because he killed the demon Keshi in the beginning of the creation. Keshava is also the name of Krishna. Krishna is the origin of all incarnations, and it is confirmed in Brahma Samhita that Govinda, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, exists simultaneously in his different incarnations and expansions. The demon's attempt to measure the Supreme Personality of Godhead is significant. The demon wanted to embrace him with his arms, thinking that with his limited arms he could capture the absolute by material power. He did not know that God is greatest, and the great and the smallest of the small. No one can capture the Supreme Lord or bring him under his control. But the demonic person always attempts to measure the length and breadth of the Supreme Lord. By his inconceivable potency, the Lord can become the universal form. As explained in Bhagavad Gita, at the same time, he can remain within the box of his devotees as their worshipful deity. There are many devotees who kept a statue of the Lord in a small box and carry it with them everywhere. Every morning they worship the Lord in the box. The Supreme Lord Keshava or the personality of Godhead Krishna is not bound by any measurement or calculations. He can remain with his devotees in any suitable form, yet he is unapproachable by any amount of demonic activities. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, what a wonderful purport. So now the demon wants to hold the Lord, and because the magic forces are not now gone, he's back to the fist fight. And he wanted to embrace him and crush him. That's what he wanted to do. And just like in movies, the magic happens, right? And the villain comes and tries to hold the hero, and then the hero disappears, or he's like out of the reach. He's not in the hands anymore. So Lord is showing that he's out of the reach for demons, right? And he's called Keshava in this because he killed the Keshi demon. And Prabhupada nicely explains that the Lord simultaneously is within the reach of a devotee and out of the reach of a demon. How? Like you can see a lot of people carry Laddu Gopal all through wherever they go. I see many small kids carrying Laddu Gopal in a small box. So he can be captured in a smallest of small boxes as Laddu Gopal, and they can take him everywhere and worship him. So he gets bound by those devotees. At the same time, if demons try to catch him, even huge demons, he's out of the bounds. He's out of the reach. Very nicely explained. Text 25. Somebody please read the translation and purport.
Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The demon now began to strike the Lord with his hard fists, but Lord Adokshaja slapped him in the root of the ear, even as Indra, the lord of the Maruts, hit the demon Vritra. Purport. The Lord is explained here to be Adokshaja, beyond the reach of all material calculation. Akshaja means the measurement of our senses, and Adokshaja means that which is beyond the measurement of our senses. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So I'm imagining this scene. I think you should all imagine these scenes of fight, then you'll really enjoy this chapter. So the Hiranyaksha is trying to fist fight and then trying to hit him, punch him a lot. And what does the Lord do? Just give one slap under his ear, where like a big person gives a slap on a small child. And you can see the next sloka, he just falls dead. So it's as simple as that for the Lord, whereas Hiranyaksha is trying and fighting hard. Text 26, can somebody read please? Translation and purport.
Hare Krishna. Yeah,
Yes.
go ahead, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Translation. Though struck indifferently by the Lord, the conqueror of all, the demon's body began to weep. His eyeballs bulged out of their sockets, his arms and legs broken, and the hair on his head scattered. He fell down dead, like a gigantic tree uprooted by the wind. Purport. It does not take even a moment for the Lord to kill any powerful demon, including Hiranyaksha. The Lord could have killed him long before, but he allowed the demon to display the full extent of his magical feast. One may know that by magical feast, by scientific advancement of knowledge, or by material power, one cannot become the equal of Supreme Personality of Godhead. His one signal is sufficient to destroy all our attempts. His inconceivable power, as displayed here, is so strong that the demon, despite all his demonic maneuvers, was killed by the Lord when the Lord desired, simply by one slap. Hare Krishna.
So Lord, if he wished, he could have killed Hiranyaksha long time back. Even the first attempt only he could have killed. But Lord wants to enjoy that Virya, that fighting spirit with his devotees. So he let him fight. Like a mouse tries to play with a cat tries to play with the mouse while catching it, right? It'll catch that, leave it for some time, again goes and catches it, leaves for some time, and finally it kills. So even though he could kill him in the very beginning, he let the Hiranyaksha show his valor and the fighting spirit. And at the end, he just gave a slap. And then the Hiranyaksha fell down dead, completely, like a big tree that is uprooted. Such a nicely explained, in the scene by scene, you can really visualize it. Text 27, somebody read translation purport, please.
Hare Krishna. Aja, Brahma and others arrived on the spot to see the fearfully tusked demon lying on the ground, biting his lip. The glow of his face was yet unfaded, And Brahma admiringly said, "Oh, who could meet such blessed death?" Purport. Although the demon was dead, his bodily luster was unfaded. This is very peculiar because when a man or animal is dead, the body immediately becomes pale. The luster gradually fades and decomposition takes place. But here, although Hiranyaksha lay dead, his bodily luster was unfaded because the Lord, the Supreme Spirit, was touching his body. One's bodily luster remains fresh only as long as the spirit soul is present. Although the demon's soul had departed his body, the Supreme Spirit touched the body and therefore his bodily luster did not fade. The individual soul is different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who sees the Supreme Personality of Godhead, when he quits his body, is certainly very fortunate, and therefore personalities like Brahma and other demigods eulogized the death of the demon. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Ruji. So, the demon fell down dead on the floor, and everybody came. Brahma came, and everybody saw. And then they saw a very interesting thing. Usually when somebody is dead, immediately within seconds, the whole body luster goes out. People become pale, and the whole energy goes out. But Hiranyaksha's body was glowing, and Brahma was surprised. How come it is glowing? And he saw that the Lord was still touching the body of Hiranyaksha, and because of that, even though the spirit soul is gone, because of because the Supreme Soul was touching it, it is showing the effulgence. And actually Brahma was he was thinking how fortunate Hiranyaksha was, and he was thinking like how fortunate he is, still being touched by the Lord. Text 20. Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, why Brahma is referred as Aja? He is unborn and
Yes, Aja is unborn, Prabhuji. Yes, he's not born to any womb. He came from the Nabhi of Lord Vishnu. That's why he's called Aja.
Okay. Can I read, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu, go ahead. Text 28.
Translation. Brahma continued. He was struck by a forefoot of the Lord, whom yogis seeking freedom from their unreal material bodies meditate upon in seclusion in mystic trance. While gazing on his countenance, this crushed jewel of Diti's son has cast off his mortal coil. Purport. The process of yoga is very clearly described in this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. It is said here that the ultimate end of the yogis and mystics who perform meditation is to get rid of this material body. Therefore, they meditate on the secluded place to attain yogic trance. Yoga has to be performed in a secluded place, not in public or in a demonstration on stage. And as nowadays practiced by many so-called yogis, the real yoga aims in riding on one of the material body. Yoga practice is not intended to keep the body fit and young. Such advertisement of so-called yoga are not approved by any standard methods, particularly mentioned in this verse in the word yam or unto whom, indicating that meditation should be targeted on a personality of Godhead. Even if one concentrates his mind on the pure form of the Lord, that is also yoga. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, one who concentrates his mind constantly in the meditation upon the personality of Godhead in one of his many varieties of forms is the first class yogi, and he can very easily attain trance simply by meditating upon the form of the Lord. If one is able to continue such meditation on the Lord's form at the time of one's death, one is liberated from his mortal body and is transferred into the kingdom of God. This opportunity was given to Prabhuji told this. The demon given to the demon by the Lord, and therefore Brahma and other demigods were astonished. In other words, The perfection of yoga practice can be attained by a demon also if he is simply kicked by the Lord.
So there are a couple of points here. The process of yoga, Prabhupada condemns the yoga that is done these days. The display of advertisements that it's for fitness of the body. Yes, you will get fitness of the body as some part of the yoga. Yoga is the step ladder of like eight levels, and one of them is pranayama and Surya Namaskaras. It's not all of it, but yoga originally means yuj, the union of soul and spirit soul. Like the meditation that a soul does to attain the spirit soul. That is yoga. The process is meditation towards getting the supreme soul, the supreme Lord. But nowadays, a lot of people are falsely advertising yoga. That's what Prabhupada condemns here. And the mystic yogis who tries to perform yoga in the previous days, Prabhupada says, anybody who wants to do penances like your meditation has to be done in a secluded place, not in a demonstrative way in front of everyone. And it's very difficult, practically difficult in Kali Yuga. And what do? They ultimately they want their they want moksha. They want to transfer the mortal body to the kingdom of God. And then Lord has given this opportunity directly to Hiranyaksha by just kicking him, right? Just keeping his leg on his body, right? And then Lord Brahma was astonished to see this. Perfection of yogic perfection is very difficult to attain because you have to follow so much rules and regulations. Meditate and focusing on your end of the nose in a secluded place without distractions, and especially it's very, very difficult. But Brahma and other demigods saw that this demon got he attained whatever he is supposed to be done by yoga practice, but just one touch of Lord's feet as he was kicked by the Lord. Text 29, please. I'll read it. These two personal assistants of Supreme Lord, having been cursed, have been destined to take birth in demoniac families. After a few such births, they will return to their positions. So Sukadeva Goswami is telling about the background of these two demons. Text 30, somebody read the translation and purport, please.
Translation.
Go ahead.
The demigods addressed the Lord, all obeisances unto you. You are the enjoyer of all sacrifices, and you have assumed the form of a boar in pure goodness for the purpose of maintaining the world. Fortunately for us, this demon, who was a torment to the worlds, has been slain by you, and we too, O Lord, are now at ease in devotion to your lotus feet. Purport. The material world consists of three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. But the spiritual world is pure goodness. It is said here that the form of the Lord is pure goodness, which means that it is not material. In the material world, there is no pure goodness. In the Bhagavatam, the stage of pure goodness is called Sattvam Vishuddham. Vishuddham means pure. In pure goodness, there is no contamination by the two inferior qualities, namely passion and ignorance. Therefore, the form of the boar in which the Lord appeared is nothing of the material world. There are many other forms of the Lord, but none of them belong to the material qualities. Such forms are not different from Vishnu form, and Vishnu is the enjoyer of all sacrifices. The sacrifices which are recommended in the Vedas are meant to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In ignorance only, people try to satisfy many other agents, but the real purpose of life is to satisfy the Supreme Lord Vishnu. Prabhu, can you please scroll up? Prabhu? Yeah. All sacrifices are meant to please the Supreme Lord. The living entities who know this perfectly well are called demigods, godly or almost God. Since the living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, it is his duty to serve the Lord and please him. The demigods are all attached to the personality of Godhead, and for their pleasure, the demon who was a source of trouble to the world was killed. Purified life is meant to please the Lord, and all sacrifices performed in purified life are called Krishna consciousness. This Krishna consciousness is developed by devotional service as clearly mentioned here. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, so the demigod has it does the Lord. They're telling, you incarnated as a boar in the pure mode of goodness, Shuddha Sattva, Sattvam Vishuddham is what is told. And in that, in Shuddha Sattva doesn't it's not available in the material world. It's available only in the spiritual world. And when Shuddha Sattva is there, it is not contaminated by passion and ignorance. And Vishnu enjoys all the sacrifices, right? All the sacrifices are given by people. All of them are meant to satisfy and please Supreme Lord. And he pleased all the demigods and Brahma and everyone by killing the Lord. That's what is mentioned in this purport.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, sorry Prabhu, I have one question.
Yeah, yes.
Here you mentioned like Shuddha Sattva
Shuddha
is
Sattva.
only spiritual word. Like pure devotees, Prabhu, like can they attain Prabhu? Because sometimes we call Vishuddha Bhakta.
Yes, Prabhuji, but even the pure devotees in the material world, almost they are they have spiritual qualities, Prabhu. So with them the quality appears. But for the normal people, where we can go up to the Sattva Guna, but Shuddha Sattva, yeah, either you become a pure devotee or you go back to Godhead.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Okay, let's read the 31 translation and purport, please.
Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Maitreya continued, after thus killing the most formidable demon Hiranyaksha, the Supreme Lord Hari, the origin of the boar species, returned to his own abode. Where there is always an uninterrupted festival, the Lord was praised by all the demigods headed by Brahma. Purport. The Lord is spoken of herewith as the origin of the boar species. As stated in the Vedanta Sutra 1.1.2, the absolute truth is the origin of everything. Therefore, it is to be understood that all 84 lakh species of bodily forms originate from the Lord, who is always Adi, or the beginning. In Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna addresses the Lord as Adyam, or the original. Similarly, in the Brahma Samhita, the Lord is addressed as Adipurusham, the original person. Indeed, in Bhagavad Gita 10.8, the Lord himself declares, Matta sarvam pravartate. From me everything proceeds. In this situation, the Lord assumed the shape of a boar to kill the demon Hiranyaksha and pick up the earth from the Garbha ocean. Thus he became Adi Sukara, the original boar. In the material world, a boar or a pig is considered most abominable, but the Adi Sukara, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was not treated as an ordinary boar. Even Lord Brahma and the other demigods praise the Lord's form as a boar. The verse confirms the statement in Bhagavad Gita that the Lord appears as he is from his transcendental abode for the sake of killing the miscreants and saving the devotees. By killing the demon Hiranyaksha, he fulfilled his promise to kill the demons and always protect the demigods headed by Brahma. The statement that the Lord returned to his own abode indicates that he has his own particular transcendental residence. Since he is full of all energies, he is all pervasive in spite of his residing in Goloka Vrindavana, just as the sun, although situated in a particular place within the universe, is present by its sunshine throughout the universe. Although the Lord has his particular abode in which to reside, he is all pervasive. The impersonalists accept one aspect of the Lord's features, the all pervasive aspect, but they cannot understand his localized situation in his transcendental abode, where he always engages in fully transcendental pastimes. Especially mentioned in this verse is the word Akhanditotsavam. Utsava means pleasure. Whenever some function takes place to express happiness, it is called Utsava. Utsava, the expression of complete happiness, is always present in the Vaikuntha Lokas, the abode of the Lord, who is worshipable even by demigods like Brahma, to say nothing of other, less important entities such as human beings. The Lord descends from his abode to this world, and therefore he is called Avatara, which means one who descends. Sometimes Avatara is understood to refer to an incarnation who assumes a material form of flesh and bone, but actually Avatara refers to one who descends from higher regions. The Lord's abode is situated far above the material sky, and Prabhuji, can you please scroll down?
Yeah.
and he descends from that higher position. Thus he is called Avatara. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Hare Krishna. So, two things that are mentioned here. Immediately after finishing the killing of the demon, the Lord went back to his abode. Unlike other avatars, right? If you remember Krishna Avatara, Rama Avatara, the Lord comes and there is a long time he spends with all of us, with all his devotees. And there is, if for Krishna is the Bala Leela, then there is Kaumara Leela, then there is the Sahvasa with Pandavas, and until Dwaraka, there's a lot of time he spends, and even Rama Avatara. But this is one of the avatars, right? Many other avatars, he spends very little time. He comes, finishes the job, and goes back. So in this, it is told that Lord has killed the boar. Lord has killed the Hiranyaksha, and he went back. And went back to do what? It is mentioned that Utsava, Akhanda Utsava. To went back to his abode to continue his uninterrupted festivals. This clearly says that Lord is a personal form, right? Another blow to impersonalist by Prabhupada here, it says all the impersonalists say that yes, Lord is all pervading. We all agree with that. But we say that Lord has an abode where he goes back and does his leelas, every day, and his Golok Vrindavan. And that's very clearly mentioned here, that after the avatar is over, he went back and continues his Akhanda Utsava. That clearly says Lord is a person, and he has a abode where he resides. We know what are the activities he does from morning till evening. It's very clearly mentioned in Brahma Samhita, is what is clearly mentioned here. And the significance of the word Avatara is also mentioned here. Avatara means once he descends, he comes, he descends to this world for that particular time, and Paritrana Sadhuna Vinachayati Dushkritam, and then he goes back. That's why he's got an avatara. Text 32, translation purport, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Ms. Matas.
Translation. Maitreya continued, My dear Vidura, I have explained you the personality of Godhead coming down as the first boar incarnation and killing in a great fight a demon of unprecedented prowess, as if he were just a plaything. This has been narrated by me as I heard it from my preceding spiritual master, Purport. Here the sage Maitreya admits that he explained the incident of killing of Hiranyaksha by the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a straight narration. He did not manufacture anything or add interpretation, but explained whatever he had heard from his spiritual master. Thus, he accepted a bona fide the system of parampara, or receiving the transcendental message in disciplic succession. Unless received by this bona fide process of hearing from a spiritual master, the statement of an acharya or preceptor cannot be valid. It is also stated here that although the demon Hiranyaksha was unlimited in prowess, he was just like a doll for the Lord. A child breaks so many dolls without real endeavor. Similarly, although a demon may be very powerful and extraordinary in the eyes of an ordinary man in the material world, to the Lord, killing such a demon is no difficulty. He can kill millions of demons as simply as a child plays with dolls and breaks them. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. 2 points are mentioned here. One, this is the conversation with the sage Maitreya and Vidura. And Maitreya it said, hey, my dear Vidura, you were asking about the Leelas of the Lord. And I was explaining you the Hiranyaksha and Varahavtara story as it is mentioned by my Guru Maharaj. And it is coming in the disciplic succession. I didn't manufacture anything. It is straight. Whatever is told to me, I was repeating to you. And second thing, for Lord, playing with demons is like playing with dolls. Just like a child has many dolls in the cupboard and closet, and sometimes he brings some dolls, and then he can easily break one because the dolls are so small when compared to a child. Similarly, Lord plays and then kills the demons with no difficulty. Let's go to text 33. Can somebody read the translation and purport, please?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, can I read it?
Yes, yes, Mataji, go ahead.
Translation. Shri Sudha Goswami continued, My dear Brahmana, Shata Vidura, the great devotee of the Lord, achieved transcendental bliss by hearing the narration of the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead from the authoritative source of the sage Kosharava, Maitreya, and he was very pleased. Purport. If anyone wants to derive transcendental pleasure by hearing the pastimes of the Lord, he must hear from the authoritative source, as explained here. Maitreya heard the narration from his bona fide spiritual master, and Viduda also heard from Maitreya. One becomes an authoritative simply by presenting whatever he has heard from his spiritual master, and one who does not accept a bona fide spiritual master cannot be an authority. This is clearly explained here. If one wants to have transcendental pleasure, he must find a person with authority. It is also stated in the Bhagavatam that simply by hearing from an authoritative source with the ear and the heart, one can release the pastimes of the Lord, otherwise it is not possible. Sanatana Goswami therefore has especially warned that one should not hear anything about the personality of the Lord from the lips of a non-devotee. Non-devotees are considered to be like serpents, as milk is poisoned by a serpent's touch. So, although the narration of the pastimes of the Lord is as pure as milk, when administered by serpent-like non-devotees, it becomes poisonous. Not only does it have no effect in transcendental pleasure, but it is dangerous also. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has warned that no description of the pastimes of the Lord should be heard from the Mayavada or impersonalist school. He has clearly said, Mayavadi Bhashya Sunal Haya. Could you please scroll down, Prabhu?
Yeah, please.
Sunal Haya. Sarvanasha. If anyone hears the Mayavadi's interpretation of the pastimes of the Lord, or their interpretation of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, or any other Vedic literature, then he is doomed. Once one is associated with impersonalists, he can never understand the personal feature of the Lord and his transcendental pastimes. Sudha Goswami was speaking to the sages headed by Saunaka, and therefore he addressed them in the verse as Dvija, twice born. The sages assembled in Naimisharanya hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from Sudha Goswami were all Brahmanas, but to acquire the qualifications of Brahmana is not everything. Merely to be twice born is not perfection. Perfection is attained when one hears the pastimes and activities of the Lord from a bona fide source.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So, as you see, right, there are two indirections here. One, Maitreya Muni is telling Vidura, because Vidura asks questions, and when you back up and then you do one level clearing, Shukadeva Goswami is telling all the Munis and then Parikshit Maharaj, and it's a story inside a story, right? And how is it coming in the disciplic succession? Because they heard from their authoritative bona fide gurus. So Maitreya told Vidura that, I heard and then I told you as it is. And the same thing, Shukadeva Maharshi heard it from his father, and it is coming from disciplic succession, and it is coming and it is told to Parikshit Maharaj. So it's very important to hear Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita both from authoritative sources, not from impersonalists. And especially so, Sanatana Goswami really wants all of us not to hear from any impersonalists, and it is hearing from impersonalists and non-devotees, and especially hearing katha from non-devotees is like drinking milk that is touched by a serpent, which is poisonous, right? We don't want to do that, and it's dangerous also. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also warned that no descriptions of pastimes of the Lord should be heard from Mayavadas or impersonalists. It's clearly said, Mayavadi Bhashya Sunile Haya Sarvanasha. Sarvanasha is completely doomed. That is the word that is used by Prabhupada here. That means you are completely doomed if you want to hear from any of the Mayavadis impersonalists. You should be very careful. All of us who are practicing the sadhana bhakti here, should be careful not to hear from anybody else, because once you hear those, you will lose the consciousness of personality of the Godhead, and you will become impersonal, and which is completely destructive, which we should not even associate with any of the impersonalists or Mayavadis, even for a moment. So we should always associate with people who are in disciplic succession and hear from those four bona fide authorities, board sampradayas. And ours is Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. So we the four bona fide sampradayas are Sri Sampradaya, Ramanujacharya, Madhva Sampradaya, Brahma Sampradaya, or Brahma Sampradaya by Madhvacharya, Nimbarkacharya, and Kumar Sampradaya. We should listen in these successions only. And also Prabhupada says, just because you are born as a Brahmin, it doesn't qualify you and anything. Only when you get the knowledge and when you exercise the knowledge and then hear the pastimes of the Lord, you become a true Brahmana. Not just because you are born in the family of a Brahmana. You only become Dvija when you really realize that this is the part of life. Let's go to 34. Yeah, can somebody read 34? Translation and purport.
Yes,
Prabhuji.
Translation. What to speak of hearing the pastimes of the Lord, whose chest is marked with Srivatsa. People may take transcendental pleasure even in hearing of the works and deeds of the devotees, whose fame is immortal. Purport. Bhagavatam literally means the pastimes of the Lord and the Lord's devotees. For example, there are pastimes of the Lord Krishna and narrations of devotees like Prahlada, Dhruva, Maharaj, and Ambarish Maharaj. Both pastimes pertain to the Supreme Personality of Godhead because the devotees' pastimes are in relation with Him. The Mahabharata, for example, the history of Pandavas and their activities, sacred because the Pandavas had a direct relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Hare Krishna. So, yeah. So what to think about the pastimes of the Lord? Even hearing the pastimes of the devotees of the Lord, is very important for all of us. And Bhagavatam gives those instances for us, like Dhruva Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Ambarish Maharaj. And in Mahabharata also we are reading about the closest friends and cousins of Lord, either Pandavas. That's what we do. So all these things are auspicious. 35, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
The personality of Godhead delivered the king of the elephants who was attacked by an alligator and who meditated upon the lotus feet of the Lord. At that time, the female elephants who accompanied him were crying, and the Lord saved them from the impending danger. Purport. The example of an elephant is in danger who was saved by the Supreme Lord is especially cited here because even if one is an animal and he can approach the personality of Godhead in devotional service, whereas even a demigod cannot approach the supreme person unless he is a devotee.
Yeah, so Sukadev Goswami is citing the example of Gajendra story here, right? Even an animal can approach the Lord if there is devotion. But even a demigod, who is the highest in the structure of the living beings, if they are not a devotee, they cannot approach the Lord. The Lord is so merciful that they just want devotion towards Him. Text 36.
Hare Krishna. Translation. What grateful soul is there who...
Yeah, yes, please, go ahead.
Go ahead.
What grateful soul is there who would not render his loving service to such a great master as the personality of Godhead? The Lord can be easily pleased with the spotless devotees who resort exclusively to Him for protection. Though the unrighteous man finds it difficult to propitiate Him. Purport. Every living entity, especially persons in the human race, must feel grateful for the benediction offered by the grace of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, anyone with a simple heart of gratefulness must be Krishna conscious and offer their devotional service to the Lord. Those who are actually thieves and rogues do not recognize or acknowledge the benedictions offered to them by the Supreme Lord and they cannot render service, devotional service. Ungrateful persons are those who do not understand how much benefit they are deriving by the arrangement of the Lord. They enjoy the sunshine and the moonshine. They get water for free of charge, and yet they do not feel grateful, but simply go on enjoying these gifts of the Lord. Therefore, they must be called thieves and rogues.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So, if you're a devotee, you can easily please the Lord. And simple heart of gratefulness will really please the Lord Supreme Personality of Godhead. But Prabhupada is talking about all the people who are not grateful to the Lord as thieves and rogues. What did the Lord do? We are all with him in the Golok Vrindavan, and we revolted and we said we want independence. And the Lord is so merciful that he created this material world for us with a system of demigods to give all the things that we need to live happily here. He gave rains, he gave grains, he gave minerals, he gave everything so that we can live with whatever is given to us. He gave sunshine, moonshine. Sunshine gives, the plants grow in sun, and then the moonshine gives the juices, the sweet juices of fruits. So you get the fruits and everything. And it is a person who doesn't thank the Lord, who is called a rogue and thief, with all that is given to him and enjoys, and definitely is a sinner. That's what Prabhupada is telling here. We should be very grateful, offer everything back to him, and then we should consume those. So we should be very grateful to the Lord for providing all these things, even when we revolted and then we came into this world. Text 37.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Translation.
Hare Krishna.
O Brahmanas, anyone who hears, chants, or takes pleasure in the wonderful narration of the killing of Hiranyaksha demon by the Lord, who appeared as the first boar in order to deliver the world, is at once relieved of the results of sinful activities, even the killing of a Brahmana. Purport. Since the personality of Godhead is in the absolute position, there is no difference between his pastimes and his personality. Anyone who hears about the pastimes of the Lord associates with the Lord directly, and one who associates directly with the Lord is certainly freed from all sinful activities, even to the extent of the killing of a Brahmana, which is considered the most sinful activity in the material world. One should be very eager to hear about the activities of the Lord from the bona fide source, the pure devotee. If one simply gives oral reception to the narration and accepts the glories of the Lord, then he is qualified. The impersonalist philosophers cannot understand the activities of the Lord. They think that all his activities are Maya. Therefore, they are called Mayavadis. Since everything to them is Maya, these narrations are not for them. Some impersonalists are reluctant to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, although many of them are. So can you please scroll?
Yeah.
Some impersonalists are reluctant to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, although many of them are now taking an interest in it just for monetary gain. Actually, however, they have no faith. On the contrary, they describe it in their own way. We should therefore not hear from the Mayavadis. We have to hear from Sutta Goswami or Maitreya, who actually present the narrations as they are, and only then can we release the pastimes of the Lord. Otherwise, the effects on the neophyte audience will be poisonous. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So this is the Falashruti of the entire chapter. So what is being told here? Whoever hears, chants, or takes pleasure in the wonderful narration of the killing of the Hiranyaksha demon by the Lord, who appeared as the first boar, Adi Shukara, in order to deliver the world, at once are relieved from the results of sinful activities. So all of you, all 17 of you, all 16 of you who have read the translations from the beginning until now are completely relieved of all sinful activities. And what kind of activities? Even killing of Brahmana. Brahmahatya is a very big sin. And Sukadeva Goswami is telling that, just by hearing this, even you can be relieved of that kind of sin. And then what happens? you can associate with the Lord directly, is what he says. Simply by oral reception and narration of the Lord, and who accepts the glories of the Lord, he is qualified. So we're all qualified. Who is not qualified? The impersonalist philosophers. They cannot understand the activities of the Lord. They think it's all Maya. That's why they're called Mayavadis. So these narrations are not for them. And some people nowadays, some Mayavadis are acting as if they want to learn these, and then they want to tell people, and they conduct these Saptah, Bhagavad Saptah, and for monetary benefits. And the Prabhupada is warning us not to go and listen to any of those people. And in Bhagavad Gita, Lord clearly says, Janma karma chame divyam yomam yete tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sorjuna. Whoever listens to all my activities, my pastimes, my avataras, tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sorjuna, they will not be born again, is very clearly told. And this paragraph, this text 37 is reiterating the fact. Let's read the last verse and we'll conclude it for today. Somebody read the translation purport, please.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji, 1 second. Yeah. Translation. The most sacred narrative confers extraordinary merit, wealth, fame, longevity, and all the objects of one's desire. On the field of battle, it promotes the strength of one's vital organs and organs of action. One who listens to it at the last moment of his life is transferred to the supreme abode of the Lord. O dear Saunaka, purport. Devotees are generally attracted by the narratives of pastimes of the Lord, and even though they do not prosecute austerities or meditation, this very process of hearing attentively about the pastimes of the Lord will endow them with innumerable benefits, such as wealth, fame, longevity, and other desirable aims of life. If one continues to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, which is full of narratives of the pastimes of the Lord, at the end of this life, one is sure to be transferred to the eternal, transcendental abode of the Lord. Thus, hearers are benefited both ultimately and for as long as they are the material world. That is sublime result of engaging in devotional service. The beginning of devotional service is to spare some time and to listen to Srimad Bhagavatam from the right source. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also recommended 5 items of devotional service, namely to serve the devotees of the Lord, to chant Hare Krishna, to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, to worship the deity of the Lord, and to live in the place of pilgrimage. Just performing these 5 activities can deliver one from the miserable condition of material life.
You can read the last sentence. This one also, the last sentence.
Yeah. Thus, end of Bhaktivedanta purports of 3rd canto, 19th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Killing of the Demon Hiranyaksha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, the entire Bhagavatam reading, the exercise we are doing is summarized here. Devotees are generally attracted towards the pastimes of the Lord. Even though they do not prosecute austerities or meditation, so even though if you don't do any austerities or any meditation, just by hearing, Shravanam is the most important activity that is being mentioned here, right? Very process of hearing attentively about the pastimes of the Lord will endow them with innumerable benefits, such as wealth, fame, longevity, and other desirable aims of life. If one continues to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, which is full of narratives of the pastimes of the Lord, at the end of their life, they are sure to be transferred to the abode of the Lord. So, all you have to do, Prabhuji's Mataji's, throughout your life, entire life, is keep hearing Bhagavatam, keep hearing the Lord's pastimes, keep hearing the stories of the devotees of the Lord. And this is a sublime result of engaging in devotional service. Devotional service means, bhakti means devotional service. And one of the devotional services is hearing. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said 5 things. All you need to do is 5 things in your life. to go back to Godhead. What are those? Serve the devotees of the Lord. Wherever there is service opportunity, jump into service opportunity and serve the devotees. Lord will be very happy. You can please the Lord very easily by serving his devotees. If you hurt the devotees, the Lord will not be happy. That we should remember all the time. So come in, help with the arrangements of satsang. If there is a big festival happening, come and participate, volunteer. That's all devotional service, right? Serving the devotees. What is the second thing? To chant Hare Krishna. I am pretty sure you're all chanting. Please continue chanting 16 rounds every day. Don't stop that. Third, hear Srimad Bhagavatam. Every Saturday, Sunday, Ekadashi. Don't join this call. Listen to the people. Chant with them. You can read Bhagavatam with all the devotees. And then worship the deity of the Lord. That you can do at your home or in the temple. Whenever you go to the temple, whenever you are at home, you can have just a picture frame of the Lord every morning to the deity worship. And the fifth thing, pilgrimage. Whenever there is a chance, whenever there are yatras arranged, like Lilananda Prabhu arranges yatras, don't miss them. And along with devotees, please come to the yatras, do the dham, pilgrimage to the dhams. And just these 5 things are enough for one to be delivered of the miserable condition of material life and then to be taken back to the abode of the Lord is very clearly told. So whoever read this chapter is all of us are guaranteed places in the abode of the Lord. So that's and the Bhakti Vedanta purpose of 3rd Canto 19th chapter, Srimad Bhagavatam, the killing of demon Hiranyaksha. Thank you very much, Prabhuji Matajis, for reading the Bhagavatam with me and giving this chance for me to read it along with you. Please forgive me if there are any mistakes that I made in this endeavor. Thank you very much for attending the class today. Any questions, comments, supporting comments, please let me know. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Prabhu, in one of the shlokas, it said it's a poisonous for neophytes when you read it from Mayavadis. What does it mean? Sorry.
Yes, Prabhuji. So basically, neophytes are all the new people, right? So without knowing if the new devotees who started just their journey and then by mistake they go to the Mayavadis, it's like poisonous because that's what is mentioned here, right? In the 37th shloka you're talking about.
Yes, yes.
If you don't hear, if you have to hear from the bona fide resources, bona fide meaning like who come in the parampara. Neophyte audiences are the new people just joined and without knowing if they come across a guru or so-called fake gurus who are Mayavadis, it's the end of the life for them. It's doomed. They are doomed because they will not be in the right path to understand the Lord. That's what it means.
Sorry, Prabhu, if I'm asking something wrong, because Lord name, Lord activities, everything is absolute, Prabhu, absolute, right, Prabhu?
Yeah.
Even like in any form, if we hear, they are not like they don't help us, Prabhu. How come they become poisonous? That is my or like.
No, Prabhu, that's not true. You have to listen. You have to hear about Lord's activities in the personal form, not impersonal. Like Mayavadis, they deflect many of the pastimes as Maya, for example. That's what it mentioned, right? So if you go to Mayavadis, what they tell is Krishna is a magician, right? They'll say he's doing magic, which is flute, and whatever he is doing is all magic. That's not true. He has descended in his form, and whatever he is doing is is avatar Purusha. They don't believe in that. They think he's an ordinary boy with some magical, mystical powers and magics. And that's what they tell. That is poisonous because that's not the right thing to tell, right? Krishna is one of the Mahapurusha avatars, and then he descends, and then for Paritrana Sadhunam, and then he's exchanging conjugal love with all the mates that he has, right? And it has to be heard in that way, not like any other way. Right, it has to be heard the right way by the right source. That's what it is mentioned there, not like any form.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. As you said, I had another on one of our source where he says, Yashoda Maya, till 5 years, she was the mother of Krishna. After that, because Krishna was aging faster than Yashoda, Yashoda has become a Gopika enjoying the Rasalila with Krishna.
That is nonsense.
It's such an absurd statement,
nonsense,
right?
and it is
nonsense
Disgusting also. Yes. Yeah, Prabhuji, these people, they don't read any scriptures. This guy with the long beard, he says, don't read scriptures. No need of reading any scriptures. I didn't read any scriptures. You don't read. I'm self-realized. So
Yes,
people go to them and they get cheated. And because that, if you hear from him, he says all this nonsense.
Yes.
And people believe that is true. And even the Devadut Patnaiks and all these people also, they write all nonsense in their books. They don't know the real story behind it, right? As Lilananda Prabhu gave the lecture of Ram Navami, the questions about why Sita was banished and why Sita was asked Agni Pariksha. If you don't know the real reason, you will hear all these people and believe in them. That is poisonous, Prabhu. That's very dangerous. You should understand and read and listen from the authoritative sources. That is very, very important. Otherwise, they'll just take you for a ride, and you're doomed, as Prabhupada said, the right word that he used. Thank you, Santosh Prabhu, for adding up to this one. Any more questions, comments, Prabhuji's Mataji?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. One small question, not about this topic, Prabhuji.
Yes,
How to make kids believe that there is a milk ocean? Shri Rabdi, I was giving the meaning to my granddaughter. She was questioning, I don't believe that there is a milk ocean. Do the cows go and give milk and fill the ocean with milk? How does it happen? Like that, all questions she was raising.
Yeah, Mataji, you can give examples of the material world itself, right? You can ask her about the material creation, right? Say for example, you go, you can tell her now from here, you can ask what is the size of the ocean, right? From here sitting in Hyderabad, we don't know what ocean is, right? But it is huge. When you go to the ocean shore, you will know that how huge it is. How can you believe that sitting in Hyderabad without knowing what, say you're a child and you have never seen the sea, and I tell my kid, hey, ocean means it's huge. The earth is like this, 70% of this is ocean. And they'll say, I don't believe
Prabhu.
you. I don't believe
she
you.
She has seen Prabhu. She's 15 years old.
I know. I'm just telling you.
Now she's asking me, all these cows, where from they go and fill the ocean with milk? How does that happen? Like that, all such questions.
You can tell her, Mataji, that, see, cows don't need to go give milk and then fill that ocean. The Lord is so powerful, you can tell that, he is the one who created the entire universe. Even within Earth, you can tell that Mount Everest, who created it? How is it so tall? How come it's so tall? Right? And there are so many other miracles that you can see around, the rainbow, the other big things like, big oceans, they're all created by Lord. And creating a milk ocean is just a fingertip kind of thing for him. It's a very simple thing for him. The cows don't need to go give milk. If he can create such a huge mountain as Everest, and then standing tall, and all the rivers are coming from that, creating a milk ocean is no big deal, right? If she believes in what is in front of her, and if she's, if you can convince her that, this is all created by the Lord, because it's not coming automatically, right? How did it come? Because it's creation of the Lord. And how is it rotating on the orbit? Nobody has put it in the orbit. People are breaking their heads and thinking, how come it is running so smoothly without even deviating a single millimeter? This is all creation of the Lord. Nobody can create it. The earth is created by the Lord. Big Bang is the farce. Similarly, he can create an ocean, and then he can lie down there. What is there? What is there? So you can give examples of the materialistic things, how you can see things around, and then you can give miracles that happen also, right? The lot of things that are not, people are not able to understand how this happened. For example, in Aurangabad, Subara Prabhu is telling, there is a temple that is carved of single stone. I forgot the name of it, but it is down below the earth, one big stone carved as a big Shiva temple. And the scientists even for now don't know. People who don't believe in God, they say some aliens came and carved it. People who believe in God, they say it's built by demigods. So whatever it is, right? It is a miracle. Nobody knows. So many miracles are there on the earth planet itself that are creation of the God, right? Nobody knows. So you can give such examples, and probably.
Okay, Prabhu, thank you so much. I'll try, Prabhu. I'll tell her all this.
Yeah, Hare
Okay, thank
Prabhuji,
you so much.
Mataji, anybody else also can add, like Anandaram Prabhu, Santosh Ajit Prabhu, Deepa Mataji, please add any, if you want to convince somebody like that, what would you say? Hare Krishna, Anandaram Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Prabhu, curiosity will be there, Prabhu, and I think my personal take is that you have to take a very step-by-step approach.
Yes.
Even when I came into Krishna consciousness, I had so many questions I had in my head, and sometimes our undoing is the fact that we are exposed to so much of information.
Yes.
Not coming from any kind of authority. First thing we do, typically we refer to Wikipedia, for example. Wikipedia is the most unreliable information.
Yes.
So I think it has to be a gradual, step-by-step approach, Mataji, and asking very basic questions. I think I remember when I started, Mataji, I started by listening to Lilananda Prabhu's Science of Self-Realization lectures on YouTube, and those were a real eye-opener for me. I think exposing children to those kind of videos where or content which can help ask the question. I think we should not be telling them that this is what it is. We should ask them the question, then that will provoke them. Like for example, one of the questions I remember Lilananda Prabhu actually asked, that Science of Self-Realization was like, there is a let's say there's a building. Who created the building? Right? There is a car. Who created the automobile? Similarly, when you gradually taking it one level up, then you come to that final answer wherein yes, God has created everything.
Yeah. They say we are able to see these built by, like a building is constructed by so many people, engineers and all, our manpower, everything is involved. All materials are involved, but this ocean nobody has seen where from it has come. Is it true? Like that they don't believe, Prabhuji.
So I think as Prabhuji said, Mataji, you have to introduce her to the SSR course, Science of Self-Realization, because it's a step-by-step thing. You can't answer something at high level without knowing the basics, right?
Yes,
who is God?
yes.
How is the material world created? A lot of things are answered slowly. I also remember some of the, so it's a answer has to be given in a question form, right? One of the lot of miracles, lot of things that happen in the world that we just take it for granted. So these bats, Mataji, like the bats in the night, they just go around and they come out of the cave in like groups, and none of them hit each other, Mataji. None of them hit each other because they have this sonar in their head that is created by the Lord, and they know how far each other with each other, and they never hit each other. So these kind of things are created by the Lord, and no human has created it, right? You cannot see it also, right? And dogs can hear low frequency
earthquake also.
Yeah, they can hear everything, and that you and I cannot see that. You cannot hear those things. That is also created by the Lord, right? I think because she's 15, you can ask her to start joining some SSR courses. There are a lot of courses that are happening, which will give that step-by-step understanding, because a big question cannot be answered immediately. It has to be answered slowly, and then the realization comes, as Anandram Prabhu said. So, she's because she's grown up, you can make her part of one of the courses and ask her to take it, and then she'll be convinced, because everything is scientifically explained, and that step-by-step.
Sure, Prabhuji. I'll try, Prabhuji, because that is better way also. That is the correct way also, Prabhuji. Yes. I'll do that, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Hare Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji.
That we don't have the spiritual senses. So many things our bodies are not capable. For example, we cannot see X-ray, but X-rays do exist. So and these all things are coming later on. People are saying, okay, that also is there. I think we have to admit that our bodily faculties are limited.
Yeah, but what to think about Anandaram Prabhu? Why do you even go to X-ray? With our eyes, you can't even see what is next to the wall, right? Our senses are also limited, right? Say there is a wall and behind the wall there is an object. I can't say what it is because my eyes are limited sense. Like I can't see everything, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, right? So there is something that existing that I cannot see. So that's what you are alluding to, I think.
Yeah, the Shabda Praman is so important because our senses are limited. We can perceive, but it is in a very limited way. And therefore, we need to listen to the scriptures and listen to the authority. That is the reason for going to authority is that we have our limited senses.
Yes, yeah, Shabda Praman, yeah, that's the way to tell. Correct, you're right, Prabhuji. Take the authority of the scriptures, correct. But it comes slowly, Mataji. She has to take the course. Only then she'll understand. Because suddenly you cannot answer, or it won't feel like we are. They don't feel like they're justifying the answers because they have to know step by step that Shabda Praman should come. That authority should be taken.
Okay, Prabhuji. Sure, Prabhuji. Thank you, Anandram Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Praveen Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhuji, Mataji, for your time. We are already above 9. So I want to give you back your valuable time for the weekend. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Dhanapranam. Panchakalptarbhyascha krupasindebhyo patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.